Hey guys, Carp from CQB Radio here again, doing the red dot rundown part 2. We got 7 different red dots to look at. Starting in the back, a EOTech replica of the 551. There's a 552 replica, 553. There's a reflex sight by Walther, a micro red dot, and then we have a GMP red dot here. And then this guy is a amp tactical red dot, and this guy looks pretty much the same as the one right next to it, except it is cantilevered right there. So, alright, let's break these guys down one by one and then stick them on an AEG and show you what they look like. Alright, this first guy is the EOTech 551 replica, and you'll notice that I'm not giving prices and locations for each one of these red dots as well as the other red dot rundown. You're going to be able to find them all over the internet for all different types of prices, depending on if you want the real steel version, it's going to cost you a lot more. If you want to get a replica version, it's a lot less. If you get them in the States versus overseas, there's all different price ranges. So I'm just going to talk about them, then you can go out there and dig around, see if you can find the best price. So obviously the EOTech replicas, they, in the real steel versions, operate off a hologram that's actually sent out, and all the technical specifications of how that happens. Probably not too interesting to people, but essentially when you put it on your AEG and turn it on, you will get a circle with a dot in the middle and kind of a crosshairs built into that, and that's what you want to line up with where you are shooting. So this guy's the 551. Right here in the front, if you flip up this little lever, you put batteries inside here and then close it back down. This front section is plastic, the rest of this is metal. It says for law enforcement / military use. You basically put this guy on and then crank that knob down. You can see under here, that's how it's going to attach to your rail. Over on this side, you have your adjustment for windage and elevation. And then in the back here, to turn it on, you press that button on the right. To turn it off, you press both buttons. And then that middle round button that says NV, you can actually press that to change between red and green in the reticle. And then the up and down will actually give you a brighter or a less bright dot. You can see it kind of off in the distance there. It's a little bit hard to pick up on the camera, but you can get either a green or a red dot, and then you can make it brighter or less bright. That's the 551. Let's take a look at it on an AEG. Alright, there you have it on my KWA M4. Got to use that ammo box in the background to prop it up. Zooming in here, you can see it just attaches to that top rail. With that flip-up sight in the back, you can see that it's pretty crammed for space. So you'll see that using like a 552 or a 553 is going to be even more crammed. This is the most compact version of these Holotech sights, or EOTech sights I should say. And these guys ride a little bit higher as far as the window you're looking through in the red dot is going to be a little bit higher than some of the other scopes that are the red dots that sit down low. So there you have it on my KWA M4. Let's check out the other EOTech replicas. Alright, here's the 552 EOTech replica, and this guy's pretty much exactly the same except for the fact that it's got that longer front out there. Pull that same little lever right here up in order to put batteries in there, and that takes standard AA batteries in this guy. That knob on the side, you're going to crank that down in order to put it onto your rail. Over here on the other side, you can see the adjustments for windage and elevation, and in the back the same thing, your red and green using that middle button, and then these two buttons right there. We can get it zoomed in here. There we go. The NV button to turn it to get the red to change to green, and then use the arrows up and down to brighten the red or the green reticle. Alright, let's put this guy on the KWA and take a look at this guy as well. Alright, here's the 552 on my KWA. As you can see, looking at the side here, it actually does sit over the delta ring a little bit, so it is going to be taking up more space on that rail. Not that you're going to put a ton of other things on that top rail, but something to be aware of depending on what type of rail you have up on top of your AEG. And this guy I like a lot. This is one of the first red dots I actually got. I had it on a old Scar Light by D-Boys. So there's the 552 replica. Let's look at the 553 replica. This is the EOTech 553 replica. It's pretty much the same as the other guys. You put the batteries up front, the same adjustments in the back. The one thing that makes this guy stand out is here on the sides, you can see it's got these QD clamps. So basically you pull those little arms out, put it on the rail, and then clamp them down, and it stays nice and secure. This guy is kind of the middle size between the 551 and the 552, and we're going to put this guy on the KWA and show you what it looks like. Alright, so here you have the 553 replica on the KWA M4, and those two little arms clamp down on that top rail. This guy is probably the chunkiest of all these replicas that we've looked at. Like I said, it's the middle one in size, but I found it to be, it's got kind of a steep slope there in the front as opposed to being rounded off a little bit more smoothly. This guy I like a lot. It probably sits up actually the highest of any of these guys. So if you want something that's going to be super low profile, you want to go for something else. But this guy sits up the highest. Not terribly high, but higher than the other two. Alright, let's move on to the next red dot. Alright, this guy is the GMP red dot, and nothing too fancy about this guy. It's very nicely made, but there's not a ton of features to talk about. Obviously, you put this little clasp or clamp part of it onto your rail and then crank that down and it'll stay in place. You can see here you got some hex screws on that side and the same on the other side. So if you do want to take the actual red dot out of the mount, you can do that as well. You got the two lens covers, and then when we turn it around back here, you can see right here 0 through 5, and that's how you adjust the brightness of the red dot inside. And then you have this rubber strap basically connecting your elevation and windage cap covers, and the cool thing about that is that when you crank them off, you're not going to drop them out in the field. They stay attached to the red dot. So that's one thing I do like about this guy. Some little features that make a difference when you're out in the field and wanting to make adjustments. You're not scrambling looking through the dirt or the leaves trying to find where that cap cover is to one of those adjustment knobs. Alright, let's put this guy on the M4 and take a look at it. There's the GMP red dot on the M4. This is really a kind of a standard look for M4s, that this type of red dot that people run. I like this guy. It's very rugged and solid and easy to take on and off. Let me show you the other red dot that's similar to this but just has a cantilevered mount. As I mentioned, this guy's not that different than the GMP red dot. It's got almost all the exact same features except on the back of where you're going to turn on your red dot inside. There are no numbers there. Everything other than that is pretty much exactly the same, other than the fact that it's cantilevered. So let me stick this guy on the M4 so you can see what that actually looks like versus the straight up and down mount. Here's the red dot on the M4, and you can see obviously it's cantilevered to sit forward. Some people do run this actually the opposite, so it's cantilever and it sits backwards. Most people run it this way when they actually put a cantilever mount on it. So just gives you greater distance between your eye and looking through the red dot. If you guys are fans of Magpul, it seems like this is a favorite of people who go to the Magpul courses, that they seem to like to run cantilevered type of scopes. Not all of them, but it seems like it's pretty popular amongst at least some of the people there. So let's take a look at a couple more red dots. Here we've got a micro red dot. This is a tiny little guy. It's about 2.5 inches long and sits about 2 inches high. Over to the left there you see the rubberized covers. It's got that red tinge up in the front lens. As you can see, it goes from 0 up through 11 up top to adjust the brightness of the dot. Then you have in the back here a cap there on your elevation adjustment, and then on the side there a cap for your windage adjustment. The one downside to this guy I find is that you have to use a hex wrench to put this guy on to get it really secure, so you can't really take it on and off quickly. But it is great because it is super compact. Let's put this guy on an AEG and take a look at it. There it is on the M4. Obviously, as you can see, it's nice and small, so there's some rail space options there. You can put it to the back, to the front. If I took off that pop-up iron sight that's in the back off, you'd have even more space as far as wherever you want to put it. I like this guy. I actually run this on my AK from Echo 1 that's got a rail up on the gas tube. So this is a cool option if you want a micro dot. This is, I think, one worth looking at. All right, let's move on to the last red dot. Last red dot we're going to look at is this guy by, as you can see here on the side, Walther. And this is a reflex sight. That rubber lens cover is over there to the left of the red dot. To put this guy on, you basically put it down on the rail and then crank down these two hex bolts. You do need a tool of some sort to do that, some sort of hex wrench, so just keep that in mind if you're trying to adjust it out in the field. It is pretty compact. It's about 3 inches long and it sits about 2.5 inches high. One of the favorite features for most people on this guy is that it has a couple different reticle options, which I'll show you that in a second. But just to give you a couple more details on the top here, your battery is going to go, basically that's where you can put a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, take that off and put a battery in the top there. It goes from 0 to 6 in brightness. You can adjust your windage and elevation. And let me take a look at the back of it so you can see what the different reticle options are. Alright, this is the back, and you get to choose basically between these 4 different options. So you have that standard kind of crosshairs look, the 3/4 crosshair, and then a larger dot, and then a smaller dot. So depending on what you're doing and how you want to run this, you've got 4 different options of what you're going to be looking at to actually aim at and shoot this guy. Alright, let's put this on the KWA and take a look at it. Here it is on the KWA M4, sitting up top there again. I like this red tinge to it. I think that's just kind of a cool look. Actually, the first time I saw one of these guys in like movie or television, and I really noticed it, it was on 24, and some of the police were using these guys on their AR. So just a random little side note there for you. But cool option. Again, I like this guy because it is so open. You can run it and definitely not be worried about tunnel vision. I often run this on my KWA KMP9 as my optic. So there you go. Had a bunch more red dots, 7 of them here to look at. Check out the other red dot video that goes through another bunch of red dots. And I hope you guys enjoyed the rundown of red dots. This is Carp from CQB Radio signing off. Keep on firing.